Hello and welcome to Stels Crafty Corner YouTube channel. My name is Stella and this is my little channel on the little corner of YouTube world, sharing all of my crafts with you, mainly knitting, sometimes crochet, very occasionally cross stitch. But thank you for joining me, thank you for popping over and taking an interest. This is my third episode now. I haven't done any for a little while. I think it was beginning of May was when I recorded last. Just things have gotten in the way, life's been busy. We're now on summer holidays with my boys from school. If you didn't know already, I'm here in the West Midlands, so we have just broken up for the 6 weeks holidays. I think it might be a little bit longer than 6 weeks holidays. So I've got 3 boys, age from 9 up to almost 15, and another one in between, and life's just very busy sometimes. So here we are anyhow, bringing a little podcast to you, sharing my finished objects. I've got some whips, I've got some new cast on ideas that I wanted to share with you, and just say hi to everybody. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for joining me again for another silly, crazy episode. As you can see, I feel a little bit awkward behind the camera, but I'll get there. I'll be fine once I get into it. Kind of got out of the practice a little bit. If you are a new subscriber or a new viewer, thank you very much for joining me. If you do like what you see, you can follow my channel if you click the subscribe button and the little bell so you get notified of all new videos that go up. I'm also on Instagram and Ravelry as the Crazy Knitter 1980, and on YouTube it's Stels Crafty Corner. I will link all of the places below at the end of the video where you can find me. If you wanted to check out any of my other projects, past and new, that I've been working on. Right, I think without further ado, we'll get straight on into finished objects. We do have quite a few. I've got 2 here with me to show you. I think I may have a few more, just checking on my tablet there, a few more that I can show you, but I don't have them in person because they've been gifted. So the first finished objects that I did finish were a pair of socks for my husband. I'm taking part in Summer Sock Camp 2022, which is hosted and run by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. She's here, she has a YouTube channel, she is also on Ravelry and Instagram as well, and it's basically a summer long knit along where knit as many pairs of socks as you want. You can use any method that you like, whether it's magic loop, double pointed needles, 9-inch circulars, all the different types. There's a cabin for each method that you like to use. I've been hopping across from magic loop into 9-inch circulars, and on one of my whips it is actually on double pointed needles, which I haven't done that for a very long time. So this is my second pair of socks that I finished for Summer Sock Camp. I think I did share my first pair in my last episode, so you can pop along and watch that if you want to. These were the String of Lights pattern, which has been designed by Sock Witchery, which you can find her on YouTube and Instagram also. It's a really easy, lovely, simple pattern. So I will show you a picture because these have been gifted to my husband, but they are in the laundry at the moment, ready to be washed. So I used it was some Regia Parfait or Perfect yarn in the rainbow colours. So I'll show you a picture there. You can see, oh sorry about the glare on the screen there. So if you can see those there, he's worn them several times. He absolutely loves them. He loves my hand knitted socks. He's very knit worthy. He does have, that's his 3rd pair that I've knit him. He loves the bright rainbow colours, and these were really nice to knit. I've done this pattern once before for myself. I did do 2 at a time for these socks I followed Kay's 2 at a time vanilla sock tutorial on YouTube. So I will link that below for anybody that hasn't done 2 at a time socks before. I had never done them before, and I was really curious to see if it would be any faster for me to knit them up. Just a bit of science experiment, if you like, and I have to say I really did enjoy them. They did actually work up a lot quicker than I imagined, and I didn't get in much of a mess with the wires tangling up, sorry, not the wires, the yarn strands tangling up or anything like that, and they were a real pleasure to knit, and I can't wait to do another pair actually. So that's finished object number 1. A second finished object that I have is another pair of socks. If anyone's been following me on Instagram, you will have seen me post about these socks yesterday and previous days and weeks. I've got them here. I haven't worn them yet because it's a little warm at the moment to wear these. But these are my 9-inch circular socks with my very first afterthought heel. Never done this before, this method of heel. One of my goals that I set myself for Summer Sock Camp this year is to try a different heel method. I normally do heel flap and gusset with the gusset decreases, but I've been very interested and curious to try different heel styles. So again, I followed Kay's afterthought heel tutorial. I found the tutorial very easy to follow. Actually knitting up the sock was very easy. Now these socks though, I mean, I don't know if you can tell here, you can see, there we go, how long they actually are. They are too long. I don't know what I was thinking with these socks. If these socks could tell of all the errors and mistakes, oh my goodness, it was hilarious. It's ridiculous. The cuffs don't match, one's longer than the other. The legs don't match and they're too long. But do you know what? I don't care. And the reason I don't care is because I've learnt a lot from these socks. I've learned how to do a new heel, afterthought heel. It's a true afterthought heel where I actually cut into the sock rather than putting a lifeline in, which was very scary. Oh, I've got to be honest. And you picked up your stitches, you've got your one row on your one needle, then you've got your needle on the other row, and then you come to cut in on that middle row. Oh my days, it's very scary, but it's not that bad though. But yeah, these socks, I don't know if it was the heat that we had earlier on in the week. The heat in the UK at the start of this week, a week ago, was tremendous, 37-38 degrees, and I don't do well in the heat as it is. So I just don't know what I did with these socks. But I'm not looking at it as, oh my god, I've ruined those pairs of socks, I can't wear them now, blah 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 blah. I'm rolling with it. I've tried them on, I just need to pull them up a little bit, and because it's an afterthought heel, there's not quite as much room around my ankle as I get with a heel flap and gusset, but that's okay because once I've pulled up the foot a little bit, it all works out fine. I did do Kay's recommendation to knit 4 plain rows before you start the heel decreases, just to give some extra room around sort of the ankle and the top of the foot, and that was good. But I think maybe if I do it again with this method, I will do 6 rows just to give me just a itty bitsy more room. I do have quite wide feet, but yeah, I mean, I love these socks though. I love the yarn, I love the way the heels have turned out. I tried them on yesterday. I've got a new pair of almost identical to Birkenstocks, so you can see all your pretty socks when you wear them. So that's my 3rd pair of socks for Summer Sock Camp, and I actually love these very much. Okay, so that's my finished socks. My next 2 items are a scarf and a shawl. Going back to my previous episode, episode number 2, if anyone's watched that one, you will remember that I was talking about some rainbow yarn that I'd had, and I was trying to find a shawl pattern that would be suitable for the yarn because I was going to see the Lion King musical in the West End, and I wanted something nice and pretty to wear and take with me if it was a bit cooler on the evenings, or I could dress it up for the actual show. I tried 2 or 3 different patterns, could not get to grips with any of them. They just did not look right with the yarn. One thing or another I was just not happy with. So went back to the drawing board, had a little search on YouTube, and I settled on, and I'm so glad I did, just a plain traditional granny triangle shawl. I've got it here to show you. I've worn it so many times over my shoulders when it's a bit chilly of an evening, and it just, oh, it's lovely. So here we go. See if you can see it there. So here is my rainbow shawl. It's absolutely beautiful. Let's see if I can stand up a little and you can see it in full. The colours in it are just beautiful. The yarn I used for this was some mandala, Lion Brand mandala rainbow sparkle yarn. It's DK weight. I'm not sure of the exact colourway because I bought the yarn as seconds. So there were a few imperfections, but that's not a problem. I just did a little bit of yarn management to get the rainbows to sort of you know, go through the rainbows as best that they could. It's really soft and squishy to crochet with. I think I used a 6mm hook for this so I could get a nice drapey effect. I did use the Bella Coco granny triangle tutorial on YouTube for this pattern if anybody's interested. I also just did a little picot edge border with some white DK from my stash, which I think really makes the colours pop ever such a lot in this. I'm so glad that I settled with this one and I didn't just put the wool back on the shelf and never thought any more of it. Loved it, still love it, gonna make some more. So my last finished objects that I've got to show you was actually a gift for my son's teacher. She's been an amazing teacher to him this year. He's just left year 4 going into year 5. He has got her again for year 5, which we were all really pleased about, and I wanted to make her something a bit more special than buying something from the shops. I've made her a V-stitch infinity scarf in some yarn that I made a scarf for myself earlier on in the year, and she did make a comment on she loved all the flecks, all the little colours in the yarn. So I've got one ball left in stash to show you. So this was the yarn that I used. It's some King Cole Big Value Aran yarn, Aran weight. It's 100% premium acrylic. It's like a snowy white creamy colour with all these multicoloured little flecks in, as you can see there. It's really squishy, really soft, it's lovely to work with. I used a 6mm hook for this. I followed, let me see which tutorial I followed. I do have a picture here to show you as well, so I've gifted this now, and it actually made her cry when she opened it on the last day before we broke up. But I'm so glad that I made it for her. I'm so glad that I was able to finish it, because it's thicker Aran wool. It was really hot as well, but we did it and we got there. So I used the Fibre Flux Gelato Infinity Scarf tutorial on YouTube. I will link that below at the end of this video if anybody wants to check it out. And here is a picture that I can show you. Let's see if you can see that okay. There we go. So that is what we did for her, and she loved it. She absolutely loved it. She was so pleased, and I was pleased that she was pleased. My son really liked it as well. He said that was a really nice gift to give to somebody. So yeah, that's been all of my finished objects so far. I think I will just double check. Yes. Oh, sorry, one last one. My midsummer socks. Oh my goodness, how can I forget? These socks they'd been on my needles since the beginning of May. They're not an entry for summer sock camp because I did start them before camp started. I am actually wearing them today, but I have got a picture to show you. I have posted these on Instagram as well. I think I finished them last week, so I will show you a picture of them. They are the midsummer socks that you can find on Ravelry, and there is a picture of them there, if you can see those. Sorry about the glare on the screen from the window. Nice lacy detail. I used some new cotton sock yarn that I bought. It's recently been released by King Cole. It is called King Cole Cotton Socks in 4-ply, and this is the rose colourway. I've only used half a ball because they were only a shorty pair of socks, so I've got 52 grams left out of a 100-gram ball. So I should have enough left to do with just another plain pair of shorties, and I might even do contrast heel and toes because I do have a nice green, I think it's over there somewhere, a nice green, like sagey green, so that might go nice with this. So yeah, this was absolutely lovely to use. Not a scratchy cotton yarn, it is very soft. I've got them on today with my new sandals. My feet are not hot one bit, really comfy. To be honest, I don't even know that I've got them on. And that pattern is the second time I've done that pattern. Really, really easy. There's a chart for the lace work, but there are written instructions as well, so depending on what you prefer, you've got both options there. Yeah, brilliant socks. Now we are definitely done for finished objects, so I'm just going to grab some coffee. Oh, thirsty work, all this talking. Okay, so we're moving on to whips now. My first whip that I'm going to show you is my 4th pair of socks for summer sock camp. I am using my Dumbo Walt Disney bag here with absolutely gorgeous little pulley on the zipper. Not technically a craft bag. These are toiletry bags that I find in Primark, but I don't need a toiletry bag. I buy them because they are perfect project bags, perfect size for socks or smaller little tiny things. So in here, pair of socks. I'm using some Regia 4-ply yarn. Absolutely gorgeous yarn it is. That's the colourway. I think you can, it's getting a little bit blown out there. Oh, there we go, that's a little bit better. It's called Candy Floss, I think this one's called. They come as 50-gram balls. They are I think this is a 75-25 mix, so you've got that nice sturdiness to it. I am doing the Conundrum socks, which you can find on Ravelry, and I'll just see who that pattern is by Saffron Start. It is a free pattern. I'm doing these with an afterthought heel again. These are shorty socks. There we go, that's the pattern detail on the front, if you can see that there. I did a 2x2 rib and a square toe. I have marked for my heel with these coloured stitch markers here, and then every 10 rows I mark with a light bulb stitch marker right the way down to the bottom. So that's my Conundrum socks there. So I've just got the second one ready to cast on. I'm using a 9-inch circular for this method, and then I change over to magic loop for the heel and toe. With this one, before I actually sew up when I kitchen of the toe, kitchen of the heel once I've done it, I am going to check. I know I won't be able to do that because I will have cut in, won't I? Okay, so we're just going to wing it, and these should be long enough, or not too long. We'll see. I will let you know in my next podcast. So I have this much left of the first ball, and I've got another one here. I think I've only used half because it's a shorty sock. I was undecided on whether to do contrast heels and toes, but when I put a little post on Instagram asking what people thought, there was one lady that said because the flecks are so delicate in this yarn, if there would be a contrast, they might get lost in the little flecks might get lost with the brightness of the contrast. So I stuck with just using the same yarn all the way through, or I will do when I come to do the heels, and I'm really glad that I chose that. So that's whip number 1. Okay, whip number 2 is sitting in my Lion King bag. Again, this is a toiletry bag from Primark. Shh, don't tell anyone. And in here are my Nan's Delphinium loom knit socks. These have been actually on my loom since April the 19th, I think. I was working on them. I've completed the first one, and then with all the excitement of summer sock camp, I put them to one side. I marked the projects as hibernated on my Ravelry page. But then I thought, well, why are you not including those in your daily knitting routine, if you like? Because I enjoy them. The yarn is really soft, and it's a different method to make socks. So what I've done, once I finished my midsummer socks, the pink lacy ones, which were my 30 minutes of knitting, these are now my new 30 minutes of knitting. And actually, it's surprising how much you get done at the end of each week, but just by doing those 30 minutes of knitting each day. So these are my new 30 minutes of knitting. I will get the first sock out for you to show you. So here is the first one. Now these are a larger gauge than needle knitting. I am using the KB Looms His and Her sock loom. It's the orange one, it's the Hers one, slightly smaller one. But the reason I've chosen these to do these on the loom for my nan is because she does have, I mean, she's in her 80s, she does have an issue with circulation, so the bottom of her legs and her feet really swell up sometimes. And with shop bought socks, she has to cut the cuff off because it's too tight and it digs in. But these, I mean, just look how much stretch you've got in those. Because you have such a large gauge. I do have a couple of pairs like this for myself as just sort of comfy house socks. Oh, excuse me, I've got bits of fluff on my lip gloss. Just as comfy house socks, or I have worn them in bed when it's been really, really super cold. They're no good for me personally to wear in my boots because they're just too big and they get bunched up and it's a bit uncomfortable. But I've made my nan one pair already about this time last year, and she loved them, so I've making her another pair. This is an old colourway called Delphinium from West Yorkshire Spinners. It's no longer available, unfortunately, but my yarn has been in my stash for so long. I am trying really hard to use it all up before I get any more. So the purple mix, the light purple here, is called Delphinium, and this is just a purple contrast yarn, Drops Fable, really soft. This is always my go-to brand for my contrast colours for my socks. So we've introduced this now as my new 30 minutes of knitting. This is what I have so far. I think I was about here before it was made it my morning knitting. So today I've completed the leg and I've done half of the heel inside. So that's the loom. It's 56 pegs. E-wrap for the leg and the foot, so you get a larger gauge. 2x2 ribbon. And for the heel and for the toe, it's just the same wrap and turn heel, and then you kitchen of the toe and you tuck it off the loom when you're all finished. So hopefully these should be, probably take me another week or so, maybe 2, to get it completely finished, and then I can put them in the post, send them off to my nan for her. So that's second whip. So these aren't part of summer sock camp because, one, I'm not sure if loom knit socks qualify for camp, and also I have had that on the the loom since April, so it has been a very long time. Okay, so whip number 3, another pair of socks. Are you surprised? These are, let me see, I think these are pair number 5. Yes, these are pair number 5 for summer sock camp. Another shorty pair. I am doing these on my Knit Pro Zing 2.5mm needles, double pointed needles. I'll just get myself untangled here. So there we are, that's what I've done so far. I've completed the ribbing. These are going to have a little piece of bit of cable down the side of each foot. See if I can find a picture to show you the pattern. This yarn that I had was gifted to me some years ago. I don't know where it's from. I'm not sure what brand it is. In my stash, and I just thought, oh, I haven't got a pair of socks that colour. It matches my top a little bit. So let's see if I can find a picture for you of the socks. Oh gosh, it's gone very dark all of a sudden. Please don't rain. Okay. Projects. Okay, let's see what we have. Okay. So, the pattern is called Footsie's Med Flatter, I think. My apologies if I've pronounced that incorrectly. See if I can find a picture of them, because I haven't put a picture on of them yet myself. There we go. So that is going to be the finished sock. I have changed it a little. When I first cast on this sock, I had no intention of doing the cable. I was just going to do it plain. But then I thought, oh, it'd be really nice to jazz this up a little bit. I'm just going to pause it here, sort the lighting out. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, we're back. Right, sorry about that. We just sorted some lighting out. Okay, so as I was saying, I was just going to do these plain footsie. Sorry, a plain shorty. No patterning. Nice and easy. Perfect TV knitting. Then I was having a little flick through and oh, I like that little cable pattern. But because I'd already done the cuff, so I'm going to leave off the cable from the cuff and I'm just going to start it now. But I'm going to take it all the way down, not just to where the gusset decreases are. I'm going to take it all the way down to the toe, just before you start the toe. So you do it on the right side and then one on the left side for the other foot, just on the outside of the sock, and I think that will look really, really nice in this yarn. You can see some little orange bits as well, really pretty. And my progress keeper that I've got there is just this really, really cute little pink and gold dragonfly. I had this off a seller from Etsy, so I'll see if I can find out the shop and I'll link that below for you. Okay, so that is whip number 3. 2 more whips, promise. Okay, so my next whip is a shawl, and I am using my really cool sheep drawstring bag. Really thick, really sturdy. I had this off Amazon. Absolutely loads of space inside, as you can see, really big pockets. So I am doing the Road to Rhinebeck shawl by Mina Phillip. It has been on my list for so long, and I finally feel confident enough that I'm doing it. I did start it earlier on in the year. I didn't get as far as I've got now, and I don't know what it was. I lost my mojo with it, I think, and I just ripped it all out. I can't do it. A few weeks ago, really wished I hadn't have done that. Looking through old project pages, oh my gosh, what did you do that for? Why didn't you just set it to one side till you felt ready to pick it back up again? Anyway, all that being said, we've picked it back up. We've got further than I did the first time, and I love it. So this is where we are so far. I am using both yarns are from my stash. This is some Signet DK yarn in the linen colourway. Getting a little bit blown out there, I think. So that's in the linen colourway just there. Really soft and squishy. And then this one that I am using is it's some Knitting Essentials yarn that I had from my local pound shop. Gosh, a couple of years back. I gotta be honest, I emptied the whole shelf off of it. I think I bought 9 or 10 balls, because once it's there you got to buy it while it's there, because if you leave it and go back tomorrow, or I'll go back on the weekend, it won't be there. You got to grab it while it's there. So this is some, I think you can just about see it, some like a dusky pink sparkle yarn. This lighting, I'm really sorry for the lighting, it's gone really dark outside and I think it's going to actually pour it down. So it's like a dusky pink with some sparkle. I have got some really nice bright pictures on my Ravelry page if you want to pop on over and have a look in the better lighting. So this is what we have done so far. Okay, I absolutely love it. This is probably one of my favourite things I've worked on in so long. It's really soft and squishy. You can see all the texture there. This pattern here is like a zigzag chevron, and then we have transition from one colour to the next, and then we've got some more texture there, absolutely beautiful, and then we've got more garter stitch to start off with. So the rows are getting longer. I think we're at about 200 and something stitches, so I know it's going to end up probably twice as long yet before we're done, which is fine. This is my evening nighttime knitting, because the patterning, it's not that hard that I can't do it while I'm watching TV. I can still do the both. Using my progress keeper is this little gumball here with little glittery stars in, if you can see that just there, and these markers are just marking my pattern repeats. So of the chevron pattern here, I need to do 3 pattern repeats, then we'll do some transitioning, and then we have some like crisscross pattern in the cream. So that's my road to Rhinebeck, because one of my favourite things that since finishing my granny rainbow shawl is just having something draped over my shoulders. Sometimes when you're watching TV, you don't want a full cardigan on because you're just going to get too warm, but you just need a little bit of something. So I'm really into shawls at the moment. So that is whip number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And my very last whip that I have is a baby cardigan for a close friend of ours who had a little girl towards the end of last year. I think she's about 8 or 9 months old now. We are going to her christening in a couple of weeks time, so this is going to be her christening gift from myself, my husband and our boys to them. It is a Aran weight cardigan with some cabling on. I have finished the cardigan itself. I have knit up the border. I've literally just got to sew it together. So let me see if I can get it all out. It's all pinned together because I needed to make sure I'd done the length of the band the right size. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Doesn't really do it justice here. So we have, that's the yarn. It's a cream with some grey, pink and like a yellowy, pale greeny kind of stripe. It's moss stitch all the way through the cardigan. It is like a bolero style here, where it's curved fronts rather than straight, and the band, I don't know if you can see it there, it's a cable pattern. Let's see if we can get that a bit better for you. So there's some nice cable in there. So I do want to get this done. All the pieces are done, it's just a matter of sewing the band on, doing the neckband, and just putting a little couple of buttons on. Those are the sleeves that I've done. You can see there the lovely coloured stripes. This yarn is from, or was from I should say, a little local yarn shop that was up in Blackpool, Lolly's Little Yarn Shack I think it was called. Unfortunately they're no longer trading anymore, but that's where I had that yarn from. I think it's called Heffalump. Yeah. No, it's not Heffalump. That's some other one that I have. It's very similar to some of the Karen Simply Soft prints, almost identical. So that's what I've used to knit that up. So that will be finished in the next couple of weeks. As I say, it is going to be their christening gift. She's only a little tiny dot of a baby as well, so it should fit her and she should have plenty of room. Okay, so I think that's everything for finished objects and whips. Where are we? 36 minutes. Okay, that's not too bad. My worst fear is I'm just waffling on, and everyone's like, oh my god, does she ever stop? So new cast-ons and new projects that I've got in mind. I have got some yarn coming, only because I don't have enough to complete this project, but it's only a couple of balls to go with what I've already got. So let me get my queue up on Ravelry. One thing I love about Ravelry is you can queue all of your upcoming projects. If for any of you that aren't familiar with Ravelry, it's a brilliant place. I highly recommend it. Okay, so one of my new cast-ons is this Sunshine Impressions cardigan by Drops Design. See if you can see that there. If I can get a larger picture. There we go. So that's what my plan is. It's a chunky weight cardigan. The recommended yarn that they say is the Drops Medley, which is a wool alpaca blend. I can't wear anything with alpaca in it. It really irritates my skin and makes me itch and just brings me out in like eczema patches, so I'm not going to be able to do that. But I am okay with mohair. For some reason I'm fine with that. I'm fine with wool, it's just alpaca, just don't get me started. So the wool that I want to use for that is these two together. So this is some Special Chunky by Stylecraft, and I think it's in the gold colourway. And then this is some Drops Kid Silk in vanilla colourway. So I thought, obviously I'd have to do a swatch first just to make sure that it will work. This is chunky waist, just like what the pattern calls for, but I do really like the kind of brushed fluffy effect of the yarn that they use. So I'm going to add a strand of this with this, and my vision is that I will get that same fluffy yarn that looks like it's got a little bit of a halo over it. I don't know, I just think that that would be really pretty, and when I saw that pattern I just knew that I really needed to do that for myself. I think it's going to be a really great piece for sort of late summer, autumn, where it's still a bit warm to put your coat on, but not quite warm enough just to go out in your t-shirt, or on an evening first thing in the morning. So with my job, I work at the local school at lunchtimes on the playground, so when you're walking around and you're running around after the kids and dealing with lots of different things, you do get quite warm quite quickly. So if you've got all these layers on, so I think that would be perfect just over a little t-shirt. So that's my plan. So I was just 2 balls short of this, so I have ordered another 2. The die lots might be slightly different because I've had this for a long time in my stash. So what I thought I could do, if it works out once I've done my swatch, the 2 new balls I will use for the sleeves, and then I will use what I have for the body, the back and the 2 fronts. So hopefully it should all work out, I think. So that's my plan, is to use those 2 together. So that's one of my new cast-ons that I'm trying my hardest not to cast on, because I got 5 whips there, plus I have a blanket back in the other room. Oh, I just need to do all of the things. So another cast on that I would like to do is a shawl. Now this is a shawl by Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady. She does design patterns as well, and it's her pattern, a guiding light shawl pattern. I'll get the full picture up there for you. It's just absolutely beautiful. Let's see if I can get a picture of the shawl as well. There we go. There it is. So you've got some mixture of some speckled yarn, and you've got some, you could use a tonal or a solid. You've got some garter stitch transition into one colour, from one colour to another. I believe, yep, there are some eyelets on this section here as well. So my plan, or my vision, again, I don't know if it's going to work, I need to do some little swatching and see how it works, is I have some of this. I have 3 balls of this. This is some soft and cuddly DK from the Women's Institute, which can be found at Hobbycraft. It's just like a nice pinky beigey, silvery grey kind of mix, combined with this, and then possibly this as well. Now this grey has actually got sparkle in it, so I'm thinking something like that, or leave the pink out and just do those 2 together. I don't know, what do you think? What do you guys think? What would you do? What were your thoughts? I just love that colour combo. It just seems to work really well together. So that's one colourway suggestion. Another thought that I did have is to do, it sounds a bit crazy, is to do something with these and some white. Let's see if I have some white here to put with it to show you. Yeah. How cool would that be? How awesome are those colours together? I have some coat hangers with those colours, and that is what's inspired me to want to make a shawl with those colours. These are all DK weight, so I could do that pattern, or I have got a few others as well, but just how cool are they? I absolutely love those. So we need to stop looking at all the ideas and planning before we've even finished what we have. Does anybody else do that? So they just have like an endless list, and they've got a basket full of whips, and they're just carrying on just to cast on more and more and more? Or is that, are people more towards monogamous knitting, one project at a time? Let me know. I always like to hear what other people do, what other people's schedules are or preferences. It's fun. It's a really nice way to get to know like-minded people and just generally hang out and chat about knitting and crochet. So those are my couple of upcoming cast-ons that I like to do. I do have socks as well, never-ending socks. I think that's everything to do with all the yarny goodness. I don't have any purchases to show you at the moment. Like I say, I'm trying to use up my stash. I think if I bought any more, my husband would go bonkers. And I don't technically have anywhere else to put it. I've got these two bookcases here. I've got a small green one just behind me, which is just full of my sake on. I have a box just over in the corner full of sweater quantities of yarn with patterns ready to start knitting. I just need to do it. But then I keep seeing all the other pretty designs that come out, and I'm just like, oh, I'll just do that one. I'll just do that one. Anyhow. So that's all for the yarny stuff. What books am I reading at the moment? I am reading the second Harry Potter book, The Chamber of Secrets. I've watched all of the films when they were released years and years ago. I'm really slow on the uptake of reading the books. I love reading, but it's just not something that I ever seem to include in my daily routine of things. So what I have been trying to do is read for 15-20 minutes before we go to sleep. So once we've done everything, come to bed, instead of going on my phone, which I am terrible for doing, I've been reading a few pages of my book, which is really nice actually. It just really helps to calm me down, and usually by that point my eyes are dropping like this, so I know I'm ready for sleep. So I'm reading the second book, almost finished that one. Then my planned book after that is, if anyone has Netflix, and for anyone that has watched The Last Kingdom, oh my days, how amazing is it, was it? Whew, brilliant. Like proper, like edge of your seat, nail biting kind of TV watching. I highly recommend it if nobody has watched it. It's a series. I think there are five seasons. They're also doing a film which will be out next year. And I have got the first book ready to start once I finish the Harry Potter. TV watching, films, things like that. I am watching, again, I'm a bit slow to get on the programme with this one. I'm watching Bridgerton. I'm on the first season, but I love it. Absolutely love it. My husband, it's not his kind of thing that he would watch, so I do tend to watch that by myself with my knitting. So I'm watching that. I'm also watching some hospital programmes, 999 Critical Care I think it is. Again, it's not a TV watch for the faint-hearted. There are some extremely gruesome bits, real life traumas, emergencies, but it's fascinating to me watching the amazing doctors and nurses in the trauma departments saving people's lives. Basically, it's just amazing. I love watching it. I just find it so interesting how the sickest of people can go in, and with all that hard work, admittedly occasionally it doesn't always happen, but they just save people's lives. It's just fantastic. And the NHS and doctors and nurses are something I will never take for granted, because we'd be lost without them. They are amazing. So yeah, I like my hospital programmes. TV watching together, we are watching the new season of Titans on Netflix. And then I think we're going to jump on to the new season of Stranger Things as well. We've watched everything up until the new season, so that's our plan next. I think that's everything really for life stuff at the moment. Haven't got any massive plans for the holidays. Gonna try and take the boys out for some day trips, probably try and do something a couple of times a week. They wanted to go bowling, they love their bowling, temping bowling. We're going to try and go to the zoo. Just trying to look for different things. I mean, my youngest is 9 and I've got an almost 13-year-old and an almost 15-year-old. So the two older ones are just kind of at that age now where you suggest things and it's like, well, we can do. Because they just want to be in their room, on their phones or their games, which I know is normal. I know that. And then I've got my youngest one who's 9. And he has so much energy, it's unreal. I don't know how he does it. But anyway, less of me rambling on and jibber-jabbering about this, that and the other. Thank you so much everybody for stopping by, taking a minute to just to come and see what I'm working on, come and see what I'm jabbering on about. I will try and get back to uploading every 2 weeks. I might try and do some other videos in between as well, maybe some stash videos, going into, you know, more detail with whips, prioritizing and all that kind of thing. Yeah, so thank you ever so much, everybody. I really appreciate every single person that just stops by, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes. That's really, really kind. And I will see you again in a couple of weeks' time. Take care, everyone. Happy knitting.